a spontaneous utterance and the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. And I don't know in your schools how much they talk about this, but it's something that should be talked about almost every lesson. You should touch on this subject all the time. So a spontaneous utterance is this. The cops come in and go, "What did you do?" And you go, you want to stack that utterance because it's admissible in court. You want to say, "He was trying to kill me. He said he was going to kill me. I thought he was going to kill me." That's a spontaneous utterance, all stacked in your favor. And don't say any more. That's it. They get one spontaneous utterance that is admissible. You got to let them know why you did what you did, but say no more. The Fifth Amendment to the Constitution is this: you have the right to remain silent. Do you know that? Did you know the Fifth Amendment? Come on, then. Okay, good, because a lot of kids don't. Fifth Amendment means you can remain silent, and it's a constitutionally protected right, and the cops will ask you questions. What happened? What did you do? What did he do? And you say, "I'm really shaken up right now. I want to help you, want to get to the bottom of it, but I'm too shaken up to talk about it right now. I would like to exercise my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent." And don't say any more.
That utterance, specifically invoking the Fifth Amendment, is very important.
Right, specifically say it. You swore, you're the cop. You swore an oath to defend the Constitution. It's my constitutional right. I want to help you. I'm going to help you. I'm too shaken up to talk about it. I'm exercising my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And they shouldn't ask you any more questions. They will, on a lot of occasions. And then you just remind them, anything I say after this is considered fruit of the poisonous tree, meaning it can't be used. But you don't want to go there. You don't want to say any more. You can tell them that. So it's important because you're training to do stuff that can be lethal or crippling or paralyzing. Okay? So you want to know what to say. The first thing is you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be there to talk to cops. They should come to your house and see you because you should have left already. Don't ever get into a fight and then stick around. Get into a fight, do what you have to do because it had to be done, and then leave. You have no obligation to stay there. No matter how badly the person's hurt, you have no obligation to stay there. You do have an obligation to keep safe and to leave the scene. You can call in someone for them and say they need an ambulance. He's talking about a reason, a green light. My instructor, that guy that was a 35-time black belt grand champion, is a really mean person. He's not a nice person. He's very mean, and he grew up mean, and he grew up in tough places, but he trains like there's no tomorrow, and he fights all the time. And he was working when he was younger, cleaning carpets in a motel downtown, and he sees a fight going on. He's like, "Oh, this is kind of cool. I got a front row seat." And there's three big Hawaiian kind of guys beating someone senseless, and they're kind of chasing him down and stomping him and beating him. And he watches it for a while, and he's like, "That guy's done, you know." And they're still beating him, and he yells down, "Hey, knock it off! You already won." And they keep beating on him. So he walked down there and kind of got in between them and said, "Hey, knock it off," you know. And he pulled out his phone. "I'm going to call the cops." And he's like right in between the guys, and one of them tried to grab his phone, and it was on. And so he punched that guy. The other guy tried to kick him. He blocked the kick. He kicked him about 6 times. And when he was on the phone, he goes, send the police, send an ambulance. And the ambulance got there. The guy that they were beating on was okay. 2 of those guys went away in the ambulance. One punch on one of them, and he was still unconscious when the ambulance got there. So, but there was no hesitation because he had a green light to protect someone's life. Okay? All right. The next one is the distinction between a monkey dance and a predator. And it's really hard to tell a predator. I like to think of myself as a predator. A lot of times people will come up and people know who I am, and they'll you know, if I'm in a confrontation, I have friends around and somebody comes up, tries to start something, I'll just get small and back up and say, sorry, you know, sorry, I don't want any trouble. Until it's time to go. Until my boundary has been pushed so far, I think there's no stopping them. They have shown what they're going to do. and this needs to be an educational beat. And all of a sudden I switch from the prey, from the monkey, to the tiger. And when that switch happens, it's like switching on a light. It's all on. There's no holding back. It's one of the advantages of jiu-jitsu over hardstyle karate. Is jiu-jitsu, you can just take them down and say, knock it off. But where I grew up, it was like, and I learned jiu-jitsu as my third art. I like to say that, if you're up and coming, that I found after 20 years of hardstyle with Bang and Langen, I went with Professor Carey, who was the coach to 4 world champions. And I think I learned more in the first 2 years with Professor Carey than in the 22 years I'd spent with Bang and Langen. Just because there's so much advantage to not having to go all the way out. Being able to do a little bit without a lot, or deciding as I'm throwing someone, is he an enemy or a friend? Do I lay him flat, or do I lay him on his head? A monkey dance would be someone going to prove themselves. Hey, what are you looking at? But you don't want to participate in that.
Literally looks like monkeys throwing excrement at each other.
A lot of that vocabulary is discussed in detail by Meditations on Violence, right? It's a great book.
Rory Miller. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But one thing to point out is the predator is that one thing that's a predator that you don't realize it is a group. A group monkey dance is like confronting a predator. When you got 6 people causing trouble, they'll do things way worse than any one of them would ever do alone. So anytime you're confronted with a gang, know that this is let a light go off in your brain, that this is a very serious thing, and you can either get out of there or get a weapon or get more people or do something, because I tried going up against 10 people. It didn't work very good for me. So try to go up, either get out, get away, fight another day. Let's see. So the next one, it's a really important distinction to have, is the distinction between being hurt and being injured. And I don't know if you guys study that, but being hurt means you got some broken ribs. And broken ribs, they're going to be fine. You're not, they're going to hurt for a while. They're going to hurt for, 4 or 5 months. But they're just hurt. You can still fight. Being injured is your arms twisted around backwards. And this is good to know for 2 reasons. One is for yourself. You can diagnose as you're going and go, I'm just hurt, or I'm injured. I got to get away because I'm not going to be able to fight anymore. I need to go to the hospital and get this fixed. Or for your opponent, I can hurt. A lot of times you can just hurt someone and they'll stop. That's enough. I won. I hurt him. But sometimes you'll run into somebody, any of the ex-special forces guys, you can't hurt it out of them. You've got to disable them. You've got to injure them because they hurt and won't stop it. And if you have that distinction in your mind, it's like, I know how far I have to take this. There's an Air Force colonel that came up with this thing called the OODA loop.
Oh.
John Boyd.
Yeah.
Observe, orient, decide, act.
Yeah. So, can you do it one more time?
Observe, orient, decide, act.
Good. So, one thing that would really make me angry is if any of you had an opportunity to step up and do the right thing, and you froze. I would say you get an F in this class, and you don't get to come back. You're out of here. Because I just freezing is a thing to me that really bums me out. You've heard of fight and flight?